Student exposes doctor as deranged leftist in front of entire college. I'm pretty sure I know what this is about, but let's find out just in case. Let's get into it.
For pushing back against trans ideology at the Cambridge Union in recent debate.
It's not really pushing back against trans ideology. It's, once again, being in favor of pro-reality, okay? Because there are people who are living in delusion, and then there are people who are awake.
That was badass.
There's no serious activism happening in these institutions, as I've unpacked. There's ideological enforcement, language policing, nasty online abuse, regressive demands dressed up as virtue, and there are children who are paying the price for our collective reluctance to say so. It's not bigotry to notice. I don't care what you say to me. It's not cruelty to object to it. It's not backwards to ask who exactly modern LGBTQ+ activism is for. Be brave. Let yourself question the narrative that you're being fed. Don't tell me to be kind if being kind involves lying to and medicalizing kids, betraying lesbian and gay people, rolling back women's hard-fought-for rights, and hurling threat at those who object. Again, hatred, you talk about it. Try being a woman who knows what one of those are. I'll tell you that.
God damn, bro! This is spitting! Get their ass! Holy... Imagine being a woman who knows what a woman is. Man, amazing.
Hatred. No, I don't subscribe to this kindness, and I'll tell the truth instead.
She has 3 opponents. They took turns. She just outperformed all of them.
Oh, yeah.
No one even came close. Piers Morgan just had her on to talk about it.
But there are a lot of people who've sent me messages and stuff saying, I've never really heard about this, and now hearing you say that, you know, I think some people, one person told me it's made her wake up.
It has literally...
I want to make this very clear. We are starting to get to the point where trans ideology will be nothing but a bad memory soon. And if you have known someone who was trans and they realized that they were just brainwashed into believing they were something that they weren't, try not to mock them. If they truly want to realize what they did was a mistake, just say, I'm glad you're finally waking up. And then we focus our efforts on shutting down the rest of the activism or the activists that are attempting to push this on children. The more trans people that wake up and realize that they were retarded, the better. But I'll be real, the majority of people who are trans today, in my opinion, and also a lot of scientific fact, are people who were groomed or molested as a child and were groomed by perverts. It's true, because this whole trans was always a fetish that was pushed onto children for creepy-ass adults. That's the truth.
We run workshops for lesbians to unlearn their objection to male genitalia. In activist spaces, as she said, this is called breaking through the cotton ceiling, by analogy, just to make clear, with the glass ceiling, something to be smashed through.
Yep.
I didn't even realize the percentage of heterosexual men transitioning was so high.
Over 80% of males, by the way, let's be clear, over 80% of males who identify as transgender lesbians retain their male anatomy.
Yep.
The majority are, by any prior definition, heterosexual men.
And this is the opposition we're seeing on screen. These 3 speakers. She decimated all 3.
I know it's inconvenient for you to hear. And if you still doubt what I'm saying, Google Kira Bell and read her story and the stories of many detransitioners like her, and then insult them by pretending that the regret rate is low.
No back and forth about the speaker accepting.
You are not a good person leading someone down a 41 to 50% suicide ideation rate. I want to remind you, trans people have a 41 to 50% suicidal temptation rate. You're not a good person if you support that. Cocaine only has a 42%, and you wouldn't encourage people to do cocaine. Okay? Yeah, something about chopping somebody's dick off makes them suicidal. I wonder why.
The one on the right is a doctor, a medical doctor. She goes last, and it goes very badly.
The vast majority of kids, in every single study, no matter how large or small, showed this, the vast majority of kids with gender dysphoria grew out of it well before adulthood.
There it is.
And what was the ideological infrastructure sustaining all this? Well, Stonewall crops up again, and its school guidance was enforcing this idea, trans women, trans men.
It is just a phase. Brother, I used to think I was a Super Saiyan. I used to think that I could do the Kamehameha. And I'm glad my brother told me that I wasn't before I attempted to fly off of the roof of my house because I was convinced that I could, just like Goku. And yet we have people who are young in second, third grade who play with a dinosaur and like, oh, I must be a boy. Or play with a Barbie, oh, I must be a girl. And then their parents reinforce that because they're mentally raped. Or maybe I am actually a Super Saiyan. Maybe I should try flying.
Men presenting it to children as established fact, lying to them, compelling them to repeat it, or face accusations of transphobic bullying.
I want to give you another great fact. Every single mental illness there is in this world, doctors and support systems tell you to not listen to the voices. Schizophrenia, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, everybody tells you to ignore those cravings, to ignore those voices, to ignore those urges. Do you know what the one mental illness is that everybody tells you to listen to? Gender dysphoria. And why do you think that is? It's very interesting now, isn't it? Imagine if you told a schizophrenic man, oh yeah, listen to the voices. Yeah, oh, they tell you to kill people? Yeah, go for it, dude. Go for it. You're just, this is your destiny. Insane.
We have been looking at example after example of that. The last two videos were examples. Students in school, a parent speaking to the school board, and we saw how those go.
By these same organisations sitting on shelves in British schools right now, instructing children how to use adult hookup applications, how to bind their breasts without telling their parents, how to source and self-administer cross-sex hormones in secret without medical supervision alone. Children's education becomes a delivery mechanism for guidance on making irreversible changes to their bodies behind closed doors, away from the adults who love them.
No person has the right to hide information about their children to their parents. That should be heavily illegal. And by the way, charities like the Trevor Project are secretly grooming your children and having conversations they're not disclosing with their adults for the safety of the children. I'm sorry, if my kids are 8, 11, 12, even 13, 15 years old, if they're having a conversation with an adult, I need to know exactly what the they were saying.
That's why I make these videos, because you can tell people that it's happening, but you really need to show them.
And don't you dare object. When parents raise safeguarding objections, they're routinely characterised by activist organisations as homophobes or transphobes, and it's a remarkable manoeuvre, maybe even wily. Make the protection of children synonymous with bigotry and watch very reasonable people go quiet.
After the student was done speaking, the opposition stood up and just proved everything she was saying.
Good.
I most strongly oppose the motion that's been proposed tonight, and I feel that anybody who does agree and go along and approve that motion will,
let's see if she alts,
and raise their hands to that, will have blood dripping down their hands in years to come.
You can't question this or you will have blood on your hands. It's crazy.
Insane.
I mean, extraordinary words from her there.
No arguments, just an emotional play, because they're retarded, and we all know it.
And also weaponizing this thing that if you don't agree with her and her view, intransigent view of this, obviously you're transphobic. You hate trans people.
The sponsor of this video is Native Hydrate.
Once again, I don't hate trans people. I pity them because they were most likely groomed as a child. But saying that you're going to have blood on your hands if you oppose transgenderism, brother, they have a 50% suicidal thought rate. I'm pretty sure the blood is on their own hands the moment that their parents encouraged it.
Action is equated with compliance, so go along with this or you are a bad person, you're unkind.
It's crazy to think that this is such an unusual thing to see at Cambridge.
In the union, some students came up to me and said that they agreed and thanked me for saying it, thanked me for saying what they themselves know to be true, but as you said, is scary to declare publicly. There have been some other students, including those who were in the chamber, one of whom was speaking in opposition, so speaking against me, who were very frustrated by the fact that somebody decided to stand up and say it and to normalise it.
Because if you do, this is what happens. You become the villain.
I would like to apologise to any transgender person who is in this room or who may be listening on social media later.
So are you going to address the points, or are you just going to keep on acting offended?
Yes, she's apparently an actual medical doctor, which is why this is so concerning.
What I would say, though, is that Helen Weberly is fundamentally untrustworthy within this debate because she profits off of the transing of kids. So the fact of the matter is, the more kids that are trans, the more money she makes.
True.
That is the simple fact. So she stands to gain from peddling this ideology, and it is an ideology. It is not factual to claim that this nebulous idea of gender identity is somehow innate. It simply isn't.
She was a medical doctor for 32 years. The last 10 years, she has specialized solely working with trans people.
Fucking
she
insane.
can't go against this ideology. She would be killing her business.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Helen Webberley. I'm a medically trained UK doctor. I have been practicing for...
God help us. It's the doctors. It's the teachers. It's the daycare sitters. It's everybody. These people are indoctrinating your children. This is why homeschooling, when able, is so important, to keep your kids safe from these monsters that are attacking the roots and the values they have at their core, making them hate their parents, making them hate God, and making them chop their dicks off. It's insane.
Over 32 years. I trained in Birmingham.
And it's true. It is the women. And we all know it's the women. Women are far more likely to be on the left. Women are far more likely to be liberal. And women are far more likely to fall for emotional plays. It is the women. It is.
And it's a great pleasure to be here in Cambridge today. For the last...
If you love and respect your wife, if you love and respect your girlfriend, you will have these uncomfortable talks with them to really address the evils in this world. And don't say to listen to me because you have to. Really explain to them. Bring as much facts and logic and evidence as you possibly can so they can see it with their own eyes on the evils that are being committed right in front of us. And if you do have that mutual respect, they will listen to you. And when they see the statistics, when they see the reasoning, they will hopefully change their mind. But if you're with a person who is denying reality, who is denying statistics, who is denying evidence and logic, I would really think about the person who you're trying to have a future with.
Last decade, I have worked exclusively with transgender people. And I am a very, very proud modern-day activist.
Not sure that's a good thing. I don't want my doctor to be a proud activist.
Yep.
I am a doctor. I understand biology very well. No, thank you.
Let's hear the biology.
Most people who have XY chromosomes identify as what we know as male, but not all.
Notice what she did there. What we know as male. She's baking in the idea that male is a social construct. So she's really talking about something completely different. She's talking about the expression of maleness.
This fucking retarded.
Somebody else, no thank you, somebody else put a marker on that person's birth certificate, and then we expected them to follow that gender role throughout their life. We see them not achieving as well in life, in education, in income, in relationships. We see them being hurt. No, thank you.
This is where the equity comes in, equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. You will never have equality of outcome.
We see people who wish to deny women.
Many would argue that you're the one denying women the ability to have the changing room, the bathroom privacy.
If they don't conform to a particular type of woman. So if that woman hasn't got the luxury of having ovaries and XX and a vagina, so she's...
What a retard. This background track is carrying her speech so much and she still sounds like a blathering idiot.
She's not welcome to swim in that women's pond.
Now, having ovaries, having the genitalia, the biology is just a luxury.
We see children, young girls, who haven't got the luxury of having XX chromosomes and ovaries.
She even talks about children plainly.
I am told that we should now withdraw their activists as well. I most strongly oppose the motion that's been proposed tonight, and I feel that anybody who does agree and go along and approve that motion.
Man, I can't believe the woman whose entire business and livelihood relies on feasting off of mentally ill children doesn't want to get rid of those mentally ill children brainwash. I can't believe the child groomer thinks that we should that we should stop child grooming. I can't believe that the child groomer is opposed to stopping child grooming. I'm shocked, man. This is disgusting, dog. The UK is so... It is. It's so bad, bro. It's so bad. Like, the United States has its issues. The UK is completely cooked. And I do genuinely believe that liberals and women are majorly the issue. Because when we live a life, when we live in a world that is dictated by feelings and not a world that is ruled by logic and evidence, this is where it gets us. We want to play pretend every day rather than facing reality.
Will, and raise their hands to that, will have blood dripping down their hands in years to come.
And look at the...
And they clapped for that. Jesus Christ. 50% suicide rate, and they clapped for that.
Response of the audience. I don't think she's winning anyone over here. You compare her to this student, it's not even close.
I don't know who that student is, but I wish I could at least follow them on Twitter or something. That chick was a genius. It's so nice seeing women stand up against the women have pushed on everybody else. Because that actually gets people to listen. When someone like them says what everybody's thinking. And it's so terrifying, the idea of raising a kid in the current climate socially, because God knows what teachers are going to groom your children into thinking. It's disgusting.